So I just resigned from a short-term teaching position, and I got a chance to see this business from the other side. And I say with the utmost sincerity and admiration that those of you who built and are building your Teachers Pay Teachers store, or TpT, while working full-time in the classroom deserve a huge round of applause. It is really difficult. And it's not even so much about the time, which of course that is a factor, but it's the mental exhaustion. I was so mentally exhausted at the end of the day, I just didn't feel like I had anything left to put time into my store, but I did. And I want to share with you some tips that I use to still be somewhat productive while teaching full-time in the classroom. And if you stick around to the very end, I'm going to share my feelings on IXL acquiring TpT. So don't go anywhere. Hello everyone, my name is Sherry from Rolling Acres Education. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if this is not your first time. And as I said, I just resigned a short-term teaching position, which I made even shorter, but that's for another video. But I did learn a lot, and most of it had to do with running a TpT store while working full-time in the classroom. And the number one thing is, it's hard. It is so mentally exhausting, and you just feel like you don't have anything left to give to anyone or anything else. Teaching is just so rough right now. And so I just want to share with you some tips that I use to still be productive. I still put some time into my store. It still grew. And so I just want to share with you how I did that. But first, a little tough love. The most important thing to know is that no matter who gives you a plan, no matter how successful that person is, no matter what great tips or tricks or anything they give you, no plan works. You do. And what I mean by that is, if you've got the best plan in the world, you're not going to be successful unless you actually work it. And that's going to take commitment, that's going to take persistence, that's going to just take the ability to turn off that Netflix show, to get out of bed a little earlier, to give up some of your free time. And I'm not saying you have to give all that up, and I'm not even saying you have to give it up all at once, but you need to start somewhere. Start with a plan, no matter how small, and be consistent and just add to it until you are to whatever number you want to be as far as working so many hours a week. So that's just something that you have to do, that no one else can do for you, and that is to put in the time. Well, how did I make myself do that? Well, the number one thing was accountability. And at first this may sound like a commercial, but I'm going to share with you how I did this, but I think there's ways you can do this for free, and I'll give you a couple tips for that even. But being a part of RTA, which I will link below if you're interested, if you hear what I have to say, was key. We have co-working sessions every week, and those were times that I knew I was going to work on my business. I had people that were there to support me, and just seeing them made me want to sign in, because I knew that most of them were also working full-time, and just going in and working with those people first of all made me want to sign in. And then once I signed in, of course I was going to work. And so these co-working groups are part of your monthly membership. They're free, and they're not extra, they're included. And to me, the co-working sessions and the monthly challenge are worth the entire price to me, which it's $24 a month at this time. And so I say find you some people, okay, that can hold you accountable. Again, I do this through RTA, but I don't know, maybe you could go to some Facebook groups. There are tons of TpT Facebook groups, and maybe get together and say, hey, is anybody interested in doing some co-working? I'm sure you could do this through Zoom or something like that. And we just get together and we spend a few minutes saying, okay, this is what I'm going to work on, and then we work on it, and then we come back together and share what we've done. And that to me was key. That was the number one thing that kept me going during that time when I was working, and I even looked forward to it, because I consider those people my coworkers. I call them my coworkers. So that was number one, is find somebody who can hold you accountable, who can work with you, and who you actually look forward to seeing and working with, because that really, a lot of this is mental. Again, time is important, being tired is important, but that mental exhaustion and just not wanting to do anything but vegetate is real. So having something that you look forward to and people you want to work with really is a big key. Real quickly, I want to say that when I first sat down to record this, the light in here was really, really good. I have windows over here to the side, but we have a storm rolling in, and it is just getting darker and darker, so I apologize that the light is probably not all that great. But the next thing I want to share is to do things that bring you joy. Now, we hear all the time, concentrate on the things that bring you money, and I totally agree. But if you're just starting out and you're not even, first of all, you're not even really sure what's going to bring you money, and you're not even sure it's going to bring you money, and you don't enjoy it, then you're probably not going to want to do it. So think about what things in working on your TpT store bring you joy. And I love working on my TpT store, but obviously there's some things I enjoy more than others. And I let some of the things that I didn't enjoy so much kind of go while I was working full time, because it was hard. It was hard to find time to work, and if I already didn't want to work and I didn't want to do the task at hand, it was really hard to do it. So what things about working on your TpT store bring you joy? Yeah, maybe it's not the best things to do at that time, but if you're finding a hard time just working, and it's definitely better than not working on it at all. So what things in your store bring you joy, and spend most of your time on those, or at least make the first thing you do when you start a working session. Okay? Number 3, pick a plan and stick to it. I know this sounds so simple and basic, but it's the truth, okay? You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. So think about what number of hours you want to work on your store and work up to that. Start with an hour, start with a half an hour. But I think most of us can find or make an hour's time somewhere and just be consistent. If you only work an hour on your store every week, but you're consistent, it's going to be such a huge help. And then add a half an hour, and then add another half an hour until you get more and more consistent. But again, you've got to make that commitment. I'm going to work 1 hour Saturday morning from 10 to 11 every single week, no matter what. And be consistent with that. And then that was a bottle popping. I apologize for that. And then make another half hour, and just keep adding and adding until you are at the number of hours that you want to work. Now, I worked about 10 hours a week on my business, but you've got to remember that I already knew that my business was working. I already was making money in my business. I already knew that what I was doing was worth the time. And so it was a little easier for me, because I was like, oh, my store's going to suffer if I don't work. And lastly, I'm not really sure this is a tip, but I guess it kind of is, but it's about finding your personal preference. If you want to work 5 hours a week, that doesn't mean that you have to work an hour per day, 5 days. If you have it, you could work a 5-hour batch once a week. I know when I was sharing on this, oh my gosh, how do people do it? Someone shared that they take a week and work on their Teachers Pay Teachers business she didn't really say, but she said she puts a lot of time into it that week and lets a lot of other things go. And then for the other 3 weeks, she gets caught up on her, gets her lesson plans done and then a little ahead and things so for that 1 week, she can put all of her time into her Teachers Pay Teachers store. And so the point is, it doesn't matter where those hours come from, as long as you're consistent in getting them in. I mean, if you do that and you do that week, and then that was so rough that you never do it again, then of course that's not the best way for you. But if 1 week a month you do that consistently, then that's what works for you. If it works for you to do an hour a day, 5 days a week, or if it works for you to do maybe 2.5 hours here, 2.5 hours there, or 5 hours all at the same time, find what works for you. Don't think that consistency means every day. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It means pick your schedule and stick to it. So if you are in that position where you are working full time and trying to build your TpT store, those are the things I have for you. Number 1, remember, This is on you. You're the one that's going to have to do the work, and it's going to take commitment. It's going to take willpower, persistence, consistency, all these things, but you can do it. Number 2 is accountability. I've linked RTA below if you want to check it out for 1 month and see how the co-working sessions go. But you can do it for free. You're going to have to, look around, and you're going to have to find your people, and you may have to be the one to initiate all of it and put it together. But I'm telling you, it'll be worth it. Having that group really makes a difference. Number 3, start small and work your way up. Find something that works for you and be consistent. Stick to it, and then add a little bit of time in 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever increments work for you. Number 4, work on what brings you joy. Yes, we want to do things that make us money, but if you're just trying to get yourself to work, then work on the things that you enjoy and bring you joy, and then you can start adding in those other little things that aren't so fun. And then number 5, find what works for you. You don't have to work every single day to be consistent. Okay, so what do I think about IXL acquiring TpT? I really don't know, and I have stopped worrying about things like that. Here's my advice to you. Don't worry about things you can't control. Just continue to do the best you can do. I think it's going to be fine, but even if it's not, I will never regret the time I put to TpT. I have acquired skills. I have learned so much, gotten so much experience on how to run a business. I have a host of products that I could use to do other things. I can do other things with those products. So I will never regret a moment that I spent with TpT. I think it's still a good option. I think it's still a good place to start, especially if you want to expand out in other directions. It will give you a good foundation. I have a video below that I share why I think TpT is still a good option for teachers. Just remember, just worry about what you can control and don't come from a place of fear. And just remember, you've got this, God's got you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.